Okay, we're going to introduce you to branding. So I'm going to take you all the way through it. I'm going to show you right from the very basics through to some more detailed stuff. I've worked in branding all my working life, so 25 years of working in branding, creating brands, working with some of the very biggest. And what I've done is really try and distill the lessons from that down into a few short lessons here for you to totally get it. So for me, branding is often completely misunderstood. It's not really much to do with the logos. It really wants to be involved in everything, but we'll go through that. So whatever you look at with your business, there's almost nothing that can create value for a business like a brand. Branding creates differentiation. It makes you one of one. It makes people want to actually buy your products over anything else. So it's vital that you understand what it is and how to create one. So in this lesson, what we're going to show you is, firstly, what's a brand? That sounds very easy. And then we're going to show you some examples of great branding and how it can create differentiation. And then I'm going to give you a one-liner that if you only remember one thing from this lesson, then just remember that and you'll understand it. Okay? So, firstly, what's this? Okay, that's not hard, is it? Everyone can see that is the Apple logo. But the Apple logo isn't a brand. The word logo is just an abbreviation for the word logotype. And what that does is it gives you a sign that you've arrived at a branded experience and you should expect to be treated in a certain way. And this is what branding is all about. So logos aren't brands, logos are signposts. They say we've arrived, we now want to be treated, we have expectations of what this brand feels like and what it can do without even seeing the product. That's what great branding is all about. It's creating expectations, delivering and exceeding expectations, just like that. So it's the promise you make and then deliver consistently. I've always talked about consistency consistently. So it's doing things the same, doing things right over and over and over again. It's easy to be great once, but it's really hard to be great every single time. Now into brand, one of the biggest brand agencies in the world describe a brand as a firm's living assets. What they mean by that is it's not tangible, there isn't something that you can necessarily take hold of, but it's the bit where the real value is for a business. So for me, a brand's very nosy. It really wants to have an influence over every single part of what the business does. In fact, the reason I really enjoyed it, I've always enjoyed it, it wants to stick its face in every single touch point of the business. It really wants to get involved in everything. Absolutely everything should be influenced by the brand. So now I'm going to show you a few really simple slides. Okay, this should hopefully make the point very clearly. Now I'm going to make you dwell on this for a minute. It's fairly obvious what this is, isn't it? Okay, we can see that. We can look at that picture. Many of you will be able to guess where that is. It's actually in Iceland as well. Okay, so we know what they are, don't we? I'm going to go on to the next slide. And this, again, what is it? Right, okay, it's fairly obvious. The answer is this is a page full of horses. The previous one were horses too. How do we know they're horses? Not one of them's got a logo on them. Not one of them's got a sign on them. It's because they've got a certain degree of horsiness. And I think it was Plato who originally said that you can tell it's a horse by its grace and its presence. But this is the secret for any brand. You need to be able to say, look at it without a logo on it. Whether that's a product, a service, whatever it is, you need to be able to look at it and it have that certain degree of horsiness about it. It's got to have your certain degree of brand about it. So wherever you look at it, whatever context you look at it in, people will know it's yours. That's the real test of branding. So Coke were the first people who really invented it, in my opinion. So this happened in 1915. Okay, they set a brief to a company called the Terre Haute Glass Company. And that was to be able to break a bottle into 100 pieces and then for anyone to be able to pick up any piece and it still be clearly recognisable as their own. So that's what we've always described as a breakable brand. Can your brand be broken down into little bits so someone could look at it out of context and still know it's you? Ultimate aim for a brand is to be able to recognise without a logo on it. So that's why brands use such strong colour palettes. They focus on these things really clearly. So now what I'm going to do is give you a really, really clear example of branding in a very crowded market. So this is the soft drinks market. It allows them to create clearly defined positions and create and control perceptions. So what we're going to do is show you a series of 4 5 films here, back to back, and they will really change the way you look at things. So I'm not going to talk over them, but we'll just talk at the end of it. So the question you have to ask with each of these little soft drink films is, who do you think each of these is appealing to, and what does it say about you, a person, if you drink it? The other thing to bear in mind is that they are all just fizzy drinks. Fizzy drinks, sugary drinks, nothing more than that. There isn't anything magical in any of these, they are just fizzy drinks. Okay, so we'll go on to the film.
It's still climbing, and you'll start removing here in a little bit once you get a little bit up. Release.
If you're scared, walk away, 'cause there's no need to feel ashamed. Yeah, we all feel the same. Where's your passion? Where's your fighting?
Alright, now, the whole road is working on. I'm going over. Jump her away.
Hey, we're Mode Step, and we're working with Relentless to find the next big up-and-coming DJ. And we know how difficult it can be to get yourself heard in this industry, so if you're passionate about music and about DJing, then this can be your year to be heard.
Last year, DJ Lucas from Birmingham won the Here to Be Heard DJ competition. As a result of that, he got to play to 10,000 people at Leeds Festival in a forest rave.
Can't tell you guys how incredible it was to play Reading and Leeds in 2013. I guess after going...
At the limits of your ability, you need to replace the electrolytes you lose in sweat. Give your body fuel. Keep your body hydrated. Lucasade Sport hydrates and fuels you better than water.
So what we can see here, from having looked at those 5 drinks, is 5 almost identical products talking to totally different people in the market. So let's look at Red Bull. It's all about science, and it's deliberately spending really big bucks on promotion to defend this position. It allows them to be super premium in terms of their pricing. Monster Energy, on the other hand, is a really young lads brand. It's aimed squarely at teenage boys, no one else. That's all they're trying to do, is get teenage boys to drink that drink. Mountain Dew is delivering fun, freedom, beautiful people. It's only aimed at sort of like young teens and early 20s. If you're cool, then you'll drink Mountain Dew. That's their aim. Whether that's reality or not, but that's their aim. And Relentless, certainly in the UK, has moved from being a real rock and grunge drink to moving into the dance scene. So they're sponsoring tents at the dance festivals, at Leeds Festival, and really picking up some very, very cool DJs to try and get them to back their drink, or obviously paying them to back their drink. And Lucozade owns sport, so everyone knows who owns that brand position. If you see someone drinking Lucozade, you will assume they're probably someone sporty. But underneath, they are identical, near identical, sugary carbonated drinks. So the great thing about this is it allows you to then start asking questions about those brands. So I'm 50, I'm a bloke. If you saw me walking along the street at 9 o'clock in the morning drinking Monster Energy, you'd think there was something weird going on. You really would think, why on earth was doing that? I could probably get away with drinking Red Bull if I was driving a long distance or if I was doing something else. And if I was near a bike or running, then maybe Lucozade. But drinks can become contextual just by the brands they've created about them. And that's how clear their brand positioning is. So just going to summarise this first little bit. Hopefully that's made it clear. And if you write down one note from today, there is almost no chance anymore in very crowded markets that you can create a USP. That's a unique selling proposition, in case you haven't come across that before. So what we describe it as being is you have to create a VSD, which is a very small difference. Whatever that difference is, you have to create differences. What that means is that the secret of brands isn't about, or secret of branding, sorry, isn't about brands. It's all about creating differences. That's your one takeaway today. Just remember that. The secret of branding isn't about brands, it's about creating differences. So that's the end of the first part. In the next lesson, we'll start exploring this in more detail.